Hello everyone, this is Kimlin Tan, the Blue Mermaid with Q's Blue World. I am here to share with you another You've Got to Meet. Today we're going to meet Tan Thuan Kok, also known as my dad. I am very, very proud. So, um, this man, how do you describe him? I would say, when I introduced when I told my friends about my father, I was always thinking he is probably the one who taught me about being a National Geographic explorer and an explorer not just of the natural world, but of the arts, music, the beauty in this world. And that's someone that taught me about the importance of beauty, aesthetics, and creativity, and also a deep love of writing and music. So today I would like to introduce him to you.
In fact, I think Tan Thuan Kok considers himself an explorer of life.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. And by the way, the voice from out there is not God. It is my co-host of Between the Lines and my co-collaborator with Q's Blue World, Lu Shen Tan, my brother. All right, so tell us about something that you'd like to share with our audiences around the world.
Glad to do so, Cam. I enjoy tinkering with the piano, and so in the process of sharing something about myself, I would like to start off by sharing some pieces of music that I really like with you. This is an abbreviated version of the Japanese folk song Sakura. And Sakura, of course, means cherry blossoms. The song brings me back to a scene that I love. We are walking along a small canal in the heart of Shinjuku, and the cherry blossoms are in bloom since it's April. Mats are strewn around the grass, and Japanese families and groups of old men are sitting around drinking and sipping their sake and watching the petals fall from the trees, cherry blossom trees, whenever there's a slight breeze. It is cool April time, and it's such a lovely scene. It brings a lot of joy and yet some reminders that life is so short. Life is so easily bruised and vulnerable, and yet there is so much beauty to be discovered if you take time to listen, to see. And it also brings me to how sad I am that the magnificent coral reefs that used to surround Singapore when I was growing up as a child is now all destroyed.
Yes.
In the name of progress. Yet there are encouraging signs. When I was growing up, wildlife in Singapore was almost completely decimated through overpopulation, through overhunting, trapping, and those things. the population has in fact grown, but I think one of the few things that Singapore has done right was to keep the city green, to reserve places for the primary forests to be retained, and to plant trees within the city boundaries itself. And now we look forward to seeing a resurgence of the wildlife. Wild boar, civet cats, otters, monkeys, flying squirrels, the like. All kinds of birds that used to be practically extinct, hornbills, pigeons, they all can be seen now. And it gives me hope that with judicious planning and care, perhaps man and nature can coexist nicely. So that's something that I'm quite passionate about.
Yes, that's gorgeous. And I know that one of my favorite pieces that you have written, Tan Thuan Kok also writes poetry, and weren't you a journalist at one point?
I was a cub reporter, not quite a journalist. I do enjoy recording and writing and creating word pictures. So that's something that I do enjoy, which brings me back to the next piece that I like to introduce. This, of course, is Aries 2. It is you. And the next thing about myself that I want to share is that it took me a long time to realize that it is a lot better, a lot healthier to live with your focus on those around rather than on self. And this revelation actually came about through my encounter with God when I was in my middle age. And it took me by surprise because I looked back on my life and said, it's all about me. But me doesn't give me the kind of joy and satisfaction that I can get when I shift my focus to you. So today, what I like to share is that I really and truly value relationships. And those relationships start with my relationship with Juliet, my wife, and with you guys, children. And then broadening to friends, relatives, and those that we meet in life's journey. They truly bring me a lot of blessing, and I hope in a small way I am a blessing to those I encounter as well. So I look on each time that we encounter somebody else as an opportunity to bless, and knowing that in return I will be blessed too. So that's the second thing that I'd like to share.
Exciting. Thank you. Is there something else that you'd like to share with us?
Yes. This piece is a reminder for me not to take myself too seriously, and that life is a lot more pleasant when you retain your sense of humor. In fact, I've shared this with quite a few people, that I know as I get older, the body will start to downgrade, I will start losing things. But I hope that the last thing I would lose would be my sense of humor. And that sense of humor helps me to see color and see things around me in a different light.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
So enough about me. What would you like to ask me to share?
You have just, first of all, I want to thank you so much for both your storytelling gift as well as your gift of music. And I want to find out, obviously you're a very creative person. And I mean, you don't actually usually describe yourself as a creative person, but your expressions are so creative. And
You are exactly right, Cam. I don't see myself as a creative person at all. What I discovered was I am more of an integrator. I can see patterns in disparate things and see a connection, and from the different pieces of information, sights, experience, build something that I find satisfying or interesting. I don't see that as a creative process as much as an integration of things. And that's why I don't really see myself as an artist, but an integrator.
now I'm going to reframe that. While integration, I love that word because I don't think I hear that very much. I hear collaboration and curation because you curate a lot of things together that are interesting. But where I think the word creative comes in is that you consider your audience and what would be an interesting way of experiencing something. And that's what you're curating and you're integrating together so that your audience that you're trying to reach gets to experience maybe an old song or and trigger a memory, but see it in a new, fresh light, correct?
Yeah.
And that in itself evokes and energizes a human being's ability to empathize and create. So maybe the creating is not the primary materials, but you're actually becoming a secondary creator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
As you have touched on something that I'm also quite interested in, which is each time I come across something that's good to eat, something that's delicious, or a new experience, or seeing some awesome sights in nature, I feel a very strong desire to somehow package it and share it with others. If possible, to actually take them there and try it out for themselves. If not, do something by trying to get them to see it through mental pictures. As much as Mom enjoys collecting knickknacks and letters and cards of affirmation in what she calls her memory box, I enjoy creating memory pictures through words mainly. So,
And is that maybe the genesis of your poetry?
I don't know. But I each time that something excites me, I do try and put it into words, and then I just park it. So
Hence your, I mean, you have a collection of memories,
yes,
which are like stories
right,
and
snapshots.
snapshots, right?
Yeah.
Those are your word pictures, correct?
Yeah.
And sometimes they end up being in a little bit more poetic language, but other
Uh-huh.
times they're more prosaic, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that takes a lot of effort
What?
to transform it into poetry because that doesn't come naturally. To
Really?
Me. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, that's another thing that I would like to let you know. That my father is continuing to work on new skills. Just because it doesn't come naturally to him to write poetry, you give it a shot sometimes, right?
Yep.
Yep. So for those of you who ever think, oh my goodness, I'm too old to try something new. Hello. Okay. So thank you. That was incredibly inspirational, and thank you for helping me understand how you view the arts and how you view yourself as a creative.
Uh-huh.
You're creating integrative experiences. You're painting word pictures with your word pictures,
Uh-huh.
and for the purpose of sharing it with another person. Now I'm going to invite somebody to pop in. He usually just pops in by himself, but I'm going to get him to pop in because Shen, you are also someone that enjoys introducing people to new experiences. So would you like to talk about that?
Before I pick up, the observation I like to share is when you were talking about your passion for nature and the world, I think you might have been channeling David Attenborough.
He's somebody that I admire and I got a lot of inspiration for.
Yeah,
Yes.
and also Jacques Cousteau.
Yes, Jacques Cousteau. And lately, did you know that Obama created a 5-episode
Yes.
thing on national parks?
Yes.
It's quite worth
Our national
watching.
park.
Yes,
Right.
how exciting! Yeah. You studied geomorphology in college, right?
Right.
But if you had any other subject that you could have taken, what would it have been?
Maybe combine geomorphology, which is actually the earth and its forms, with zoology and the life forms that are in it. So combine the two.
Yes. And also you have a deep love for marine biology too, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
So all through us growing up, you instilled in us a curiosity for nature, and especially the ocean. I mean, hello, that's why I do mermaid,
Yeah.
And what is something that you really would like us to do as far as taking care of the world?
Well, I guess it is something that has to start with a love for the world, a love for nature. It's not something that you can do because it's the right thing to do, although some people might feel that it's the right thing to do. But me being me, I do something when it's fun and when it's interesting. And so for me, first you have to be exposed to the world and to believe that it is worth saving, preserving, to coexist with. And then just allow that love to express itself through words and actions. That should come naturally. One of the things that I have always tried to put across to you and your brother and your older sister is that find a passion, take time to have a vision, and then go for it and enjoy the journey as you work towards your vision.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is something that it was a gift that you did give us, because oftentimes when I'm around others, they my contemporaries is that they felt a lot of pressure from their families to study or to find a career that was more practical.
Mm. Oh, do you remember that you used to do badly in school? And of course, at that time, we didn't know that you had this problem, that you are challenged.
I live with dyslexia,
Uh-huh.
dyscalculia, and a cognitive disorder.
All right.
Yes.
And we didn't know that, but we noticed that your grades were not good at all, and rather than the conventional parent at that time, and still pretty much the ethos in Singapore, which is to apply more pressure, to give you more tuition, I said, let her fail. Let her fail. If it's hurting enough, and if it does something to her, and she wakes up because she has failed, then so be it. But it might just trigger and say, I don't like this, and then she will pick herself up on her own. And I'm glad that we did not try the traditional Singapore tiger mom approach on you.
I too am very glad, because I wouldn't be wearing a blue wig today.
Yep.
I do have a question for you as well.
Yeah.
If you could revisit any seminal experience in your life and bring people you know would be curious and want to explore it, what would you revisit?
I would love to be able to recreate the 6-week camper trip that we had
Oh no!
on the west coast of the United States, where we lived in a camper. We went up the mountains, we got lost in the desert and without aircon, and then we had so many memories from that experience that I think I would encourage anybody who has young children and are trying to bond and build better and deeper relationship to go on something like that. That sticks out in my mind.
I think we found our next feature with Tan Thuan Kok.
Yes! I'm really excited about that. Okay. One of the secrets of that trip was that it wasn't just a trip. A lot of preparation went into that trip, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and we did it as a family even
And
before we
each of
went.
you had a role.
Yes, yes. And I think my brother had the shittiest role of all.
Literally.
Yes, Shen, what was your job again?
I was the conveyor of shit where every so often I would have to dump the black water tanks. And unfortunately, our older sister, through compassion to let me sleep one morning, tried to do it and got a huge mishap on herself.
Yes, and of course, my job was trip historian, so I got to.
And money bags.
Yes, and I was the money bags. Yes, I love to count money. Yes. Nope, we can't spend. We've hit the budget today. No more eating out. No, we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Shen was under 10. You were just preteen, and Julian was in her early.
Yes, I was 14 and Julian was 16. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, and it was marvelous. I still remember we nearly died a couple of times. Like Dad, in Singapore we drive on the left-hand side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in the U.S. we drive on the right-hand side. And the first time we picked up that camper, oh my gosh, Dad, all the cars are coming at us. We're gonna die.
Yeah.
And then another time we nearly died was when we went up this really steep mountain.
And it was high to the point where the oxygen was too thin, and the van was not going to make it up the gradient. So all of you had to get off. It was so narrow that on the track, hit the mountain on one side and the deep drop on the other. And so we chugged along and prayed that we would come to a place where we could turn the van around while you all were walking behind. So that was scary.
Yes.
Did you find a spot to turn?
Yeah.
Eventually. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
I thought you backed it down.
Yes, actually he inched backwards until we found a turning and then he could go around, yeah. Yeah, the desert was cold, and another time we were really close to the Grand Canyon and our van kept breaking down. Our
Yeah.
fan belt kept breaking. And
Icon belt.
yeah, aircon belt, it was awful. And yeah, and guess where I'm living right now? In Phoenix, Arizona.
Some people are masochists.
Oh, she enjoyed the experience so much that she had to relive it.
Yes, Phoenix, yes, I'm not, yes, that is the home of QBW actually. That's really scary. Oh my goodness. And yeah, that was truly a very memorable trip for me as well. Yeah, but yes, I do like to control money. All right, so Dad, what is one thing that you would like to say to a global audience? If you have one last blessing on this earth, what would you give it to them?
I would say life is indeed fleeting, too precious to be wasted. So live it to the full, live it for the present, take each day as a gift and enjoy it. And for you, Cam, I would like you to share what is one important thing in your life that you are yet to do. I asked that question knowing that right now life is pretty meaningful to you and you are full of energy and enthusiasm. You are being at the height of your creative abilities. But is there something really important yet to do?
Unfortunately, Dad, there are a lot of things that I want for my family, for my community, but I can't do it for them. It's things that they have to do themselves. That's what I hope for, is that I hope that I get to witness more people finding joy in their lives as they acknowledge the child in them and watch that child grow up.
Perhaps you could be a catalyst to challenge them and to get them started on their journey.
Yes.
To tell them it's not too late to get off their butt.
Yes.
And to do something.
Yes. Yeah. Quit whining. Do something. Get out.
Yeah.
And this is why, Pa, many of us in this family have actually nearly died in the last few years, right? Starting with Julin, right? Because she was, my older sister was in coma for 11 days and came out of it, and so she got a new lease of life.
Yeah, through pneumonia.
Yeah, a double pneumonia, both bacterial and viral pneumonia. It was really frightening. We nearly lost her there. Then we nearly lost you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had some spontaneous embolism thing, and your neck was bursting with blood.
Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba the Hutt, yeah. And then you came out, right?
Yeah.
And you got a new lease on life, right?
Yeah.
And then Mom recently got a stroke, right?
Yeah.
So you got your life-changing experience. And then this year I just missed a liver transplant, and I'm recovering from syncope. Hey, what, Lu Shen?
February 2021, Delta COVID.
Yeah, and Shen survived Delta COVID. So all of us in this immediate family had been given by God a new opportunity to live.
Yep.
So what are we going to do with this extra grace, right?
Yep.
YOLO, live
YOLO.
which is why one of the reasons why I'm on this trip as well.
Yep.
And why? So this is what do I have left to do? I have to fulfill the mission that I was given when I was 8 years old. I woke up crying several nights in a row with children crying from many different parts of the world. They were just crying so hard that I also was crying every night waking up. So I said, God, why on earth are they crying? And in my heart, it felt like he said, because they don't know they're loved. And so when you said that, maybe I can be a catalyst. I can't make the choices for anybody else.
Yep.
But I can say, I've been given this chance. I'm choosing to live fully and trying to embrace every moment. I would like to invite you to come along with me.
Yep.
But if you are too chicken shit and don't want to do it, then don't waste with my time. Don't fuck with my time. Yeah. Right?
Right.
So, you can join me. You can join BTL. You can join Q's Blue World if you really want to grow with us. But if you just want to sit around and complain, I have no time for that because my time is precious too. And so is yours. But it's your choice on how you want to live.
Yep, well said, Cam.
Thanks. And thanks for the great question. Because traditional bucket list, go skydive and stuff like that, that doesn't interest me and interest me because honestly that will probably reduce my days. Yes. So yes, I think that covered that special question that you had for me, right, Shen? Yes.
Very much so.
So there was one more thing that I wanted to do with you, Dad.
Yeah.
Would you like to read your poem, The Swimming Pool?
Maybe not now.
Okay, I'm not going to ask you to do it
Uh-huh.
because I actually, I'm not going to do a spoiler, but Shen and I have a performance, and I want you to know that we love that poem of yours.
Thank you.
Okay?
Right.
So, that's a little teaser. So for those of you who are going to be around in Singapore on June 2nd and 23rd, 2022, Shen and I will be performing at Spoken Bird with Steph Chan at the Hive Carpenter. And on the 23rd, we'll be with Jedediah Huang at that Spoken Word competitive event. And Shen and I are going to be doing the act in between. And so come join us there at the Blue Jazz on June 23rd, 2022. So if you guys are here in Singapore, come join us, all right? So is there any last words that you would like to say?
Nope.
Shen, would you like to say anything?
I'm good.
So now I'm going to say goodbye to each one of you. Everyone, thanks for following us on another episode of You've Got to Meet Tan Thuan Kok. Signing out from Singapore, Kemlin Tan Bappy, Ting the Blue Mermaid, Q's Blue World. Take care, everyone.